If budgeting feels overwhelming or confusing, then you're not alone. Most people get this way when they get to using overcomplicated apps and they end up just giving up. Now here's the truth. You don't need 30 categories on some spreadsheet, or you don't need 8 graphs on some type of app. Let's keep it simple. You just need 3 numbers. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what those numbers are and how to keep things powerful yet simple. Now let's get it. So the first number that we want to be concerned with is your total monthly income. Now don't come telling me about what's your gross and everything like that, because honestly, I don't care. It's about your take home. What are you bringing in after taxes? If your salary, this should be pretty easy for you. That same number hits your check every single month or every single week, no matter what happens. But if you're different, let's say you're hourly or you're some type of freelance, then this can tend to change. So one way that you would go ahead and get this number is just by taking a look at your last 3 months worth of income, okay? You don't want to forget any cash tips, maybe any child support if that applies to you, or any side hustles. The main thing with this is that you don't know what your total income is if you don't add it all up together and know what you're working with. Remember, do not use your gross. It is what you take home, what is touching your bank account, because those are the numbers that are really going to matter. So now that we know what your first number is, we're going to look at that second key number, and that's going to be your total monthly expenses. Now this right here is basically your outflow. What you want to do is look at your last 3 bank statements and take a look at everything that will fall in these categories here. Now I want to start off with your rent or your mortgage. Whatever that number is, it is key and should be consistent each month. We know that that's a consistent expense and probably your biggest expense. All right, so your second category of expenses will be utilities and bills. Now, when you're thinking of this, think of your electric bill, your gas bill, maybe it's your internet, it could be your yard maintenance, it could be your water bill. Those fall under that consistent utility category. Next, you want to think about your gas and transportation. If you have a car note, that is consistent every month. Your car insurance is pretty consistent every month. And gas, you should be able to see how much each week you're putting in. Now, all of this is going to fall under the transportation category. Next, we're going to talk about food. That's such as eating out and groceries. Your groceries should be pretty consistent each month. And I know things can change, especially with the high prices, but you should be able to see how much it's costing you to eat. Also, your date nights, when you're eating out, that's going to be under the food category as well. We're not going to skip that either. All of this goes into how much it is that you are spending on food. The last expense category I would label as fun and subscriptions. Now, we all have Hulu, we have Netflix, Prime, any of those. We're all going to put that under the subscription category. And when it comes to fun, maybe there's a gym membership, or maybe it's swim lessons, maybe it's basketball practice or volleyball lessons, things of that nature. But these are subscriptions and fun, and you want to see what you're consistently paying out. Now, once you have all of those categories done, you want to just go ahead and add them up and then divide by those 3 months. What you'll see is your average monthly total expenses. Now, I'm gonna give you a little tip here. If that average expense is more than you're bringing in, well, we need to fix that from the jump. So you're gonna need to be cutting off some things. So remember, you never want your expenses to exceed your income. You'll never be able to properly budget or build wealth if that's the case. Okay, so now we have the third number, and this number is gonna be called your gap number. Now, this is your most important number of all. Now, what gets the gap number? That's gonna be your total monthly income minus your total monthly expenses, and this is going to equal the gap. Now, why is the gap so important? Wealth is not going to be based off of your income. It's going to be built off of that gap number. All right, so let me give you an example here. If you bring home $3,000 a month, but your expenses are $2,400, then you have a $600 gap number, and that is what you're going to use each month to start trying to build long-term wealth. Now, let's make this simple. If you have debt, then there's 3 components of this gap number. You have your savings, you have your investing, and you're going to pay off debt. Now, you can do an even split here, about 33% towards each. Now, if you have no debt, then that's fantastic, because what you can do is do a 50-50 split. Now, when it comes to savings, I recommend that you go ahead and save up 3 to 6 months worth of expenses so that way you're comfortable. Now, in times like these, you might want to go ahead and save up a year. But it's great to start off with 3 to 6 months worth of expenses that you are saved up specifically in a high yield savings account. So that way you can earn 4, sometimes 5% interest on that money. Once you have that saved up, then all of this gap number can be invested into wealth building. But in the meantime, you can do a 50-50 split until you get to that certain number. Now, I know you're wondering, what if my gap number is 0 or even negative? Don't worry if your number is small. It can be 0, it can be just a little bit, or it can even be in the negative, but you can get this turned around. We're going to use 3 things to fix this problem. The first thing you need to do is cut out an expense this week. You choose. Is it eating out? Is it subscriptions? Is it some type of fun? Whatever it is, cut out just one expense this week so that way you're making an incremental step towards building wealth and getting on the positive side for your gap number. The second thing I want you to do to fix this gap number is to increase your income. Now I know you're going to say, Marcus, how am I going to increase my income that fast? Well, it's easy. Look around your home. There's something that you paid some money for that you don't even use anymore. Get on Facebook and put it down on Facebook Marketplace. Put it up on Amazon. Put it up on eBay. What I'm letting you know is flip this item to increase your income, okay? Maybe you have a certain skill that other people will find valuable. Maybe you have a lawnmower that you don't even use, but you can go up the street and cut somebody's grass for a good amount of money. There are plenty of things that you can do to try to go ahead and increase this income. And that way you've taken 2 steps toward getting this gap number in the positive. Thirdly and lastly, this right here is something that people will overlook because they still want to live their lives. Well, I'm here to tell you, you should pause on the big spending. If there's a trip coming up, but your gap number is 0 or negative, why are we going on this trip? Why are we creating more expenses than income? That's not needed right now, and you have to have the self-discipline to say, hey, this is not the time to do this. I'm sorry to my friends. I'm sorry to my significant other. I'm sorry to my family. But we are not able to do this, or you are not able to participate in this at this moment in time because you are focused on the bigger mission, and that's creating long-term wealth. I'm going to say this. I tell people all the time, it's not about perfection. It's about progression. That's it. If you're moving in the right step, eventually you will be where you need to be. First thing that changes is your mentality. Then you make these actionable steps, and before you know it, everything is just pure habit because you've been doing it for so long. Repetition. Just like you made repetition to get in these bad habits, you can make some repetition and develop great habits as well. And most importantly, you'll be able to go ahead and be a representation of that. So now that we have all that together, understand that if you only track 3 numbers each month, your income, your expenses, and your gap number, well, honestly, you'd be ahead of more than 90% of people. Trust me. You don't need a finance degree to win. You need consistency and a plan. Anyone can do this. Now, what's your gap number? Comment down below. Let's see where we all are and we can grow together. And hit that subscribe button. If you enjoyed these videos, I post videos like these every Tuesday and Friday. Until next time, I'm Marcus, your host here on Zero to Wealth, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.